My name is Professor Karanja Njoroge. I have been involved in environmental and forestry issues for some time now. That was not my training. I was trained as a development specialist in comparative and sustainable development studies. I taught school in Canada. I came back here to really, because my passion was to work in Africa and to do a lot of work here at home, because I felt that this is where the heavy lifting was to happen. I have worked with Professor Wangari Maathai, both as a friend and also as a boss, because I was the managing director of the Greenbelt movement at one time during her life. In fact, the time when she passed on, I was still the executive director of the Greenbelt movement. I want to start my story of Karura from where she started herself. In 1998, this forest had been given out as plots for development by the then government to private sector. There were many individuals who owned the title of this forest. Where we are right now was somebody's plot to build a high-rise building, whatever it is that they had sought to do. And when Professor Wangari Maathai heard this story, she was distraught and completely broken, because this real estate, the Karura Forest Station, is 2,100 acres of good forest and what she actually called the lungs of Nairobi city. And for it to go away, she felt completely heartbroken. And she did make several attempts to come and to talk to the government to remove or to do away with the allocations of this land to developers, but nothing was going. And in fact, some people started to build houses here in the other side of this forest. And when she realized that, she came here and she fought hard and brutal to face these people who had hired goons, hired guards and security, and who were there to actually stop anybody from stopping them developing. And she was very badly injured. But her injuries caused everyone to feel so bitter about it that the University of Nairobi completely closed down. No students went to work, to school. They all commandeered transport and they all came to this forest. And we entered, at that time I was there, we entered the forest from the southern side of the forest where there were no guards. And by the end of that day, there was no tractor standing. They were all burnt out. And there is some insects getting into my... Sorry. There were no insects. There were no construction sites. They were all burned down. And the members of parliament came here. They decided that there was not going to be anything like that happening. Everybody was in an uproar. And for many years, from 1998 until 2002, when the elections, the Electoral Commission called for the election of new government, nothing happened. The forest was saved by actions of various communities, particularly the University of Nairobi, the National Parliament, and a lot of other people who were concerned about the giving away of this forest. Now, fast track it to 2002, Professor Wangari Maathai has been elected a member of parliament. And we knew that the forest would be safe from then on. At least we would have a voice in government that would protect this real estate. And it so happened that by 2005, she had also organized to change the governance of forests in Kenya. And through the ministry, the Kenya Forest Act of 2005 was passed, which protected all forest land in Kenya. and any alienation of forest land would have to go through a rigorous arrangement to allow the government to do that. So those are that is the consequence or the start of the planning to protect this real estate. Fast forward that to 2009, we were able then to register under that act a community forest association of people living in this neighborhood. And we did that, and it became the Friends of Karura Community Forest Association, where I chaired and many other people were involved. I don't need to mention all of them, but there were many of them. And what we did here is to transform the forest from a no-go zone, because then it was a no-go zone, to a place where people are welcome to come and take a walk and enjoy the forest ecosystem. Our plan was also to remove the plantation forest, because a lot of it had been converted from indigenous forest to plantation forest, where they would then harvest wood. We thought that was not our priority, and we needed to remove them. As you can see out there, you'll see eucalyptus trees. Those were planted by the colonial government as firewood for the locomotive engine, which the English really wanted to bring down the cotton from the Nile to the ocean and to Manchester. That we agreed was no longer a priority, and we have been removing them. You can see that area is more cleared. We clear them, then we replant with our indigenous variety of trees, which if we do not protect, will also become extinct, because nobody is growing indigenous varieties of our forest ecosystem. Now, how have we done this? First of all, by incorporating community in our works. The community are very key in the survival and protection and sustainability of forest management. So we realize that it is not command and control, it is persuasion and involvement that has made this place a first-class managed forest in Kenya. Prof continued to be our patron until she passed on in 2011. But what is important for us is that we opened a new chapter in forest management, where we know that communities can come in and become a major player in the management and conservation of our forests. Communities can be the spoiler, the destroyer, but they can also be turned into the protector and the conservationists. That is our effort, to make sure that every community feels that the forest belongs to them and they can conserve it for generations to come. Let me just explain what has happened to this forest. As I indicated, the forest was a no-go zone. It was a place where the then government had very little interest in maintaining it, because they wanted it given out and development taken and so on. We wanted it to be a place where people come. So to convert this forest from a no-go zone to a place where people come took quite a bit of time and effort. The first thing was to fence this forest so that we can stop the thugs and people who would come and harass people who are walking in the forest. We did that with the help of the private sector in Kenya. And I really thank the private sector, because they came through. We would never have been able to do that without their resources. The second thing we did was to ensure that we have a cadre of people who are trained to look after persons coming to visit a forest. Because now that's something that had not been done in Kenya at all in a forest environment. So we were very happy to get some training through the British Army Training Unit in Nanyuki, and they trained 7 of our community members to be scouts in this forest. That then gave us a rationale to say we can open the gates and allow people to come in because we were sure somebody would be looking after them. But we thought there will be just a few people. In fact, the first month of our opening was February 2011, and we had 325 visitors, and we were so happy, so excited. But I tell you, today, every month, we have between 55 and 60,000 people visiting this forest. So imagine, we were so happy with 325, and now we have 60,000, 55,000 every month. It's a big success. And it means that the people that live around us have voted, have agreed with us with their legs. They come here and they visit the forest. And they do pay a small fee here. And it's that fee that enables us to do the kinds of things that you have seen in terms of infrastructure. We have also employed the community. We have 2 communities that are very poor adjacent to this forest. And from there, we have hired on casual basis 300 people who come into the forest to do the clearing, to make sure that when we are replanting, they dig the holes, they maintain the seedlings, and so on and so forth. We also have hired more scouts. As you know, at the beginning we had 7, only 325 people coming in. Now we have 60,000. We need to grow. We now have 67 scouts in this forest. Those are jobs that are long-term jobs that are being created by conservation of our forests. So, in a nutshell, therefore, this is a success story beyond what I can be able to comprehend. From a zero no-go zone, from a place where destruction was rewarded, to a place where conservation is now awarded. This forest, we want to convert this forest totally into a conserved ecosystem. No tree will be felled here after we have removed all the plantation forests. We did not want to do it at once because that would have cost a lot of areas to be just open areas. So we selectively remove 10 to 15 hectares every year, replant. By the time we have removed all the plantation forests, these forests will have a biodiversity of truly African montane forest. Birds, and today I can tell you there are 243 different species of birds in this forest. We have 3 types of monkeys in this forest. The latest one, the African Columbus monkey, having been transplanted here from another location because we realized it used to be endemic in this forest. Now there was none because it was hunted to extinction because its beautiful coat, black and white coat. Now we brought in 120 animals. They are now 200 and something animals. They are growing. And this makes me very happy because it means that one day in the future, my son, my grandson, will walk in here and see the forest the way it used to be as a native African forest. They will not see eucalyptus. They don't know where eucalyptus came from. The other day I walked in this forest with the King of England, King Charles. And he asked, what is this for? This tree looks like a eucalyptus. I said, yes, it's a eucalyptus. It's the Imperial British East Africa that brought them here. Now we want to get rid of them. And he said, yeah, get rid of them. But yeah, so this is the effort that I want to impact on our people too. That growing trees doesn't mean you grow the wrong trees, especially for conservation purposes. Grow the right trees. Trees that will allow shrubs to grow underneath them, not like a eucalyptus, which dries everything around them. Let us plant this tree. This tree here, by the way, if you can look at your back, you'll see a tree there, a green tree, is a very important tree in the ecology of the African montane forest. It's called Wabugia ugandensis, or the African green heart. In fact, its name is a connotation of medicine. It is called Muthega in our language, but Muthega is Muthaiga, which is medicine. It is used by many communities as a cure for stomach ulcers. Even when you're bleeding teeth, it will stop the bleeding, and so on and so forth. It's a medicinal tree. Those are the trees we want to have here in this forest. And that is our goal. The forest was the place you went to worship, you went for medicine, you went to commune with your ancestors. It was a holy place. A forest ecosystem was considered a very important ecosystem. But what did the colonialists do when they came here? Especially in Kenya, where there was a struggle, there were people fighting. And where were they hiding? In the sacred forests. I think they went out to destroy those forests. Kenya has only 3% of its land cover as forests. 3%. We ought to be going towards 10% of our land being forests. That's how I would feel, maybe we're achieving something. But today, it's 3% of the land cover. What we need to do is to increase the thinking, the views, the education of our young people, of the essential capacity of forests to give life and to improve livelihoods, even in a city environment like Nairobi. And if you are doubtful, 60,000 people who come into this forest are coming for a reason. They are walking away from the concrete jungle, from the noise and cluster of human activities in a city, to come and listen to the birds and walk in this tranquil, serene environment because it's necessary for them. It's healthy. It's not just body healthy, it's psychological healthy. And this is what we want to do. This is what every African country would want to do. And we reduce the concrete. For example, we have Uhuru Park in the city of Nairobi. I don't know what got into some leadership. And they've gone there and created concrete upon concrete. Even bringing in an old airline plane that is now no longer in functional to place it there. This is not what we want. Our people want green spaces, not parks. You can do a park somewhere else and we can pay to go in. But people need green spaces to lie down and think their thoughts, to come in during lunchtime and go to that Uhuru Gardens and listen to the birds singing. Now the birds are gone because you're not creating an environment where the birds can feel that this is their home. So concrete jungles will go. One day we will start undoing these things because they are not helpful. In fact, if you look at Nairobi, the floods that happen in Nairobi is because water is traveling at huge speeds because they are concretized. And when they go in that speed, they destroy things, they take lives away, and so on. A forest ecosystem like this slows down the water, allows water to seep into the underground water aquifers. That's the storage of water that is natural. Because then when you dig a borehole, you find water. But right now, without a forest like this one, the rains come and it's running all the way down to Mombasa. The fish in Mombasa don't need that water. It's us who need that water. If that message can get to our people, I'll be a very happy man.